Hello, I'm Tamir Hacham. As an engineer, I see financial independence not so much as a dream, but really as a system that we can design and build. In our last explainers, we laid out some of the psychological groundwork, right? That shift in identity. Well, today, we get to the really critical part. We build the foundation for the entire structure. This is all about getting absolute control over your cash flow to create a financial stability that is completely unshakable.
Look, we're all drawn to the exciting part of this whole journey, aren't we? The growth, the investments, that feeling of building something tall and really impressive. And this skyscraper, it represents that ambition perfectly. It's the wealth, it's the assets, it's that visible success we're all aiming for. And that ambition is powerful, don't get me wrong. It's necessary. But it's only half the story.
Because this is what happens when that ambition isn't supported by structure. Trying to build growth, to reach for the sky without first pouring a deep, solid foundation of financial control, well, it's just a recipe for collapse. The whole structure, I don't care how impressive it looks on the outside, is basically built on a swank of instability. It's just ready to sink at the first sign of trouble. And this is the central problem that we are going to solve today.
So the crucial point is this. Resilience has to come before growth. Financial stability isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a non-negotiable prerequisite for any kind of sustainable investment or wealth creation. Think about it. You just cannot build a tower if the ground beneath it isn't solid. This stage is all about pouring that concrete foundation before we even think about building upwards.
And this quote, it just illustrates the danger perfectly. When you prioritize aggressive investing before you've achieved total control over your cash flow, it means every single gain is fragile. A market downturn, a surprise medical bill, a job loss, any one of those things can force you to sell your assets at the worst possible time, completely destroying your future wealth just so you can survive today. That isn't a strategy, it's just gambling.
This lack of control is often a symptom of a much deeper identity. So on one side, you've got the survivor. The survivor operates reactively. Money comes in, and the very first thought is, how can I use this to relieve pressure? Pay a bill, make an impulse buy, anything to just reduce that immediate stress. They're always on the defensive. We have to shift to the asset owner identity. An asset owner is an architect. They see money as raw capital, as a resource to be deliberately allocated to build a system for their future freedom.
So how does an asset owner actually operate? How do they begin to build? Well, as an engineer, I break the process of pouring this foundation down into two very distinct phases. First, we need awareness. We absolutely have to create a complete, honest financial map. We need the data. Second, once we have that data, we move to action. We build the control system, the mechanisms that are going to direct our resources according to our design, not our impulses.
So, we begin with the map. This first step is all about achieving total self-transparency. And that means confronting the stark reality of your financial situation, but without any shame or judgment. You have to know, down to the last dollar, where your money is actually going. This isn't about criticizing yourself. It's a simple engineering requirement. To fix any system, you first have to understand it completely.
Your map has to cover these four territories: your income from every single source, your assets and your liabilities, what you own and what you owe, and, most importantly, your expenses. And I'm not just talking about the big ones like rent. I'm talking about what I call the insidious leaks, that daily coffee, the streaming service you forgot you were paying for. All those small recurring costs that can easily siphon off hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars from you every year without you even noticing. This act of macking is really the first true act of an asset owner taking responsibility for their system.
Okay, so once that map is complete, we have our data. We've moved from ignorance to awareness. And this, right here, is the turning point. Now, we use that awareness to build. We transition from just reacting to the financial terrain to becoming the architect who actually designs the flow of resources across it. This is where we seize control.
Now, the primary tool for this is what I call conscious budgeting. We really need to get rid of that negative idea of budgeting as a tool for restriction and scarcity. For the asset owner, a budget isn't a cage, it's a blueprint. It's the architectural plan that makes sure every single dollar of your capital is allocated deliberately to serve the ultimate goal, building your freedom. It's what aligns your daily spending with your long-term vision.
So what's the immediate payoff for all of this detailed work? Let me tell you, it's not about getting rich overnight. The return that you get from building this foundation, from creating this control, is so much more valuable and profound than any single investment return could ever be.
The true non-monetary return is this: peace of mind. In Hebrew, we call it sheket nafshi. It's that mental clarity and emotional resilience that comes from knowing you are in absolute control.
Financial stress, it just clouds your judgment. It leads to poor, short-term decisions and missed opportunities. This peace of mind is the ultimate asset because it frees up your mental bandwidth. It gives you the psychological endurance you need to build for the long term, to weather any storm, and to make rational, strategic decisions when everyone else is panicking.
So I'll leave you with this. This whole process, it doesn't start with some grand gesture. It starts with a single, deliberate action. Your financial map will show you exactly where your system is leaking. So, your mission is to find the first, smallest leak you can plug, starting this week. That small act of control, that's the first drop of concrete being poured for the foundation of your future freedom.